And we are live. What is up, Sober Nation? My name is Veronica Amorante, and I am broadcasting live from the University of Houston. Something really, really special happened here this week, and I am here joined right now with Tim Braybolt. Hi, Tim.
Hi, Veronica. Thanks for having me here. Glad to be with you.
No, of course, this is a real treat because you don't really do interviews. You're usually the person interviewing.
I'm hiding, or on that side of it, yeah.
Yeah, you're usually interviewing other people or you're moderating a panel of like Washington senators and like really like up there people. So this is a treat, you guys. And Tim actually has been working with a nonprofit called the Association of Recovery and Higher Education, ARHE. And basically what they do is they empower collegiate recovery communities across the United States to become, you could probably explain this better than I do. What does ARHE do?
Yeah. So we're a nonprofit membership association. We work with schools across the country and their staff and students to build up the recovery support services on their campus, known as the collegiate recovery programs or communities. Get them more developed, get them all connected, and really focus on kind of like the support of the students, in their recovery, in their academic pursuits, in their professional development, and really just do everything we can to kind of help and be that connecting point, and really here to serve.
Which is amazing because, as you guys know, schools and colleges are recovery hostile environments, right? Like you think of a college and you think of people partying, people getting drunk, people, we just know what happens, right? So can you imagine being in recovery? And I mean, some of you I know have gone back to school, but like going, being in recovery, going back to school and then feeling like you don't have that support. I mean, we will always have the fellowship and meetings around, but having that support in the school. So this is a complete game changer. And you guys have been doing this for quite a while now.
Yeah. I mean, the association was, incorporated nearly 7 years ago at this point. Some of the schools have been in existence for like upwards of 30 years. And the field just kind of keeps growing. And some of the individuals who are like working in the programs, have been doing it for a long time. And then some of the students that they support are now like their staff members.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really cool to see it kind of transition and grow and continue to develop.
How many schools do you have now?
Yeah, so for membership-wise, we have about 120 institutional members of ARHE. Total, though, there's really over 200 different schools. I think Transforming Youth Recovery cites about 212 schools that say they have either a collegiate recovery program or community on their campus. So it's great. Still a lot of work to do, though.
That's amazing. I mean, so again, they provide support. And I mean, what blows me away is all the opportunities that are available for people in recovery.
Right.
Like most of you guys probably don't know that there's scholarships available for people in recovery. I mean, I've met some people here who have tried talking me going back to school. There's no way they're going to convince me to do that for my own personal reasons. But I mean, if I did want to go back to school, there's, money sitting somewhere right now for the taken, for people to go back to school. So I really encourage you guys to look up ARHE on the website and check out the schools that are under the ARHE umbrella and see if there's a school near you and find out about their collegiate recovery program and go check them out one day. Go say hi. Maybe you can bring in a meeting. I don't really know how it works. Every place is different, right?
Right.
Maybe you can bring in a meeting. Maybe you could just stop by, say hi. Or if you're already a student in one of these schools, you could definitely stop by and say hi and really participate in their program because they're always looking for people not only that they can support but that can also support them. Because one of the challenges is a lot of schools don't want to support recovery communities because they don't want to acknowledge that there's a problem in their school. And as we all know, there's a problem and they just don't want to get in front of that problem. They kind of just don't want to admit to parents, I guess, that they're a party school. What do you think about the whole, still, people in higher ed kind of not getting honest about what's happening?
Yeah, well, it's tough because, higher education's been around for a long time. So a lot of the systems and kind of the culture that's developed has been in place. And, anyone who works in higher education will say it's, arguably more bureaucratic than our own government. I mean, things go through a lot of different channels. Things happen slow, so just naturally, any kind of change on a large scale happens really slow. So the kind of what you were talking about with administrators being a little bit reluctant to maybe advertise that they have recovery support or really develop a program because of like the stigma that might be around. It's going to take some time because, like I said, there are programs that have been around for 30 years, but this kind of like explosion of the field is still pretty new and it's still really in its infancy. But at least we're having like some research that's coming out more and more that kind of shows the direct benefits to the administration, and they can kind of see for themselves. Okay, well, we might not want to. We might be a little uncomfortable kind of saying that we have students in recovery on campus, which is crazy in its own right. But at least they can see the research and see the value in having a program on campus and start to make that change.
Right. And I mean, I love that research. It's really fascinating. One of my favorite stats is the fact that the relapse rate goes down to 17%?
Yeah, I mean,
from 90%.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
from in 1 to 5 years, right? So in 1 to 5 years, when somebody enters recovery, there's like a 90% chance, or I don't know, it could be a year. Don't quote me, but there's like a 90% chance of somebody relapsing. When you're a student participating, when you're in recovery, you're a student and you're participating in these communities, the relapse rate goes down to 17%. Like, that's insane.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. I mean, the recent stuff might be even lower, like closer to like 10 or single digits, which is pretty fascinating to see. But yeah, when you see everything that the program offers as far as support services and kind of like surrounding that student with everything that he, she, or they might need in their recovery journey, it makes sense.
Yeah, and then also the fact that students in recovery outperform regular students when it comes to GPAs, right?
Yeah, like, GPAs, retention rates, graduation rates, being involved in service on campus. I mean, it's really like the students in recovery in these programs are the model students that the universities want. And it's a little backwards for them because they are prone to thinking like, oh, we don't want any of those students on our campus.
Right.
But in reality, they're doing better than the rest of their peers at the university, which is just fascinating and really powerful to see.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we all know, especially Silver Nation, we all know like people in recovery and just people that were, when we were in active addiction, we were pretty smart, and we would get away with a lot. And, we definitely would come up with some crazy ideas, but it's so amazing to hear that when we put that power to good, what we can actually accomplish. And I know people who are in recovery who've become doctors, they've become, they have their PhD, they have their masters, and they did all of that in recovery. So it's amazing. And again, another thing that I love back to the relapse rate is that putting a student in recovery in touch with a collegiate recovery community it's just the smartest thing to do for everybody all around, but even for the family, because they get collegiate recovery support at no cost, right? This is just through them being a student at the school.
Yeah, exactly. For the most part, all the programs are kind of built into what the fabric of the university. Like, they're somewhere in student affairs or in a health center, or maybe it's in an academic department. But yeah, regardless, usually the students just have access to those services as kind of like their enrollment at the university. So they're not having to go off campus or commute somewhere and pay for recovery support services on the side and find time for it. It's all right there. And those individuals who are running the programs are uniquely equipped, like knowing the university and knowing what the student might need in order to best support their recovery.
That's amazing. So basically the support is free for years as long as you're a student, correct?
Yeah.
So you're talking about 4 years of like support, which is peer support, but also professionals. Mm-hmm. We're talking about everything, and it all depends and varies program to program.
Right.
But when you think about, the relapse wheel, right, and how, we keep coming in and out, and the fact that you could put the brakes on that process, and your relapse rate could go down to 17%. it becomes more affordable for families, right? Think about the families that are having to, spend money on treatment every year or every time a relapse happens. It just becomes cheaper. I mean, granted, education's not cheaper. Let's not kid ourselves, but I mean that money is being spent on an education that someone is going to be able to like thrive and make a life for themselves. So it's amazing. It's crazy that not more people are talking about this, that, more people do not know that these resources are available.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to change? Do you think like people are going to start getting the word out, or?
Yeah, I think what we're doing at ARHE is going to help quite a bit. Being able to take the field and show like the case studies of different programs and like bring that to Washington D.C. and bring that to other conferences, and to the schools. I mean, they're so focused just on like supporting like that. That's what means everything to them. Is they just want to support their students. They're maybe they're trying to get the word out on their campus, but they're not necessarily as concerned about getting it out to like the nation or the world, because they want to devote every second they have to just doing the next right thing for their students, which is why we love them so much. Why they're in the profession that they're in. But yeah, I think ARHE and Transforming Youth Recovery and all the other kind of partners and stakeholders we have, I think, are really on the cusp of getting it to a point where it becomes like a household thing. Where at some point, maybe it's not going to be this year or next year, but down the line, individuals will be able to go into a college campus and just know that there's recovery support there. Similar to how do they go in there now and just know that there's college athletics, there's Greek life, there's a health center, stuff like that. It's just kind of known that it's probably going to be there. We're hoping to get that same thing for collegiate recovery.
That's awesome. Yeah. So if you guys, definitely spread the word. If you know somebody who's thinking about going back to school, let them know. There's scholarships. There's so many things available. And, a lot of us think about going back to school right when we get clean and sober. Right. A lot of us don't, because we have a lot of fears about school. We find it so intimidating. We just don't want to spend the money. But mainly, I find, at least with me, it's a lot of fear around being a student and just having to maintain that schedule and having to be consistent, or just studying and having to deal with all of that.
Yeah.
But I know, like, if I were to sit down and, like, say, okay, I'm going to do this and commit, like, I'd probably pass all my classes and graduate. I just don't want to deal with it.
It can be intimidating. Yeah, and some people, it might not be, the 4-year institution isn't realistic for everyone. It shouldn't always be like, oh, it's that or bust, right? I mean, completely fine to go to a technical school or just some kind of other kind of learning program on the side, or community college. It's just about what makes the most sense for you as an individual, and what your passion is and what you want your career path to be, and if that's a part of it. But yeah, we're hoping that no matter where someone ends up with it, obviously they're getting support, not just academically and professionally, but in their recovery too.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Is there anything anybody else could do, anything else they could do at home, to learn more about ARHE, anything else they could do to support you?
Yeah, I mean, going to collegiaterecovery.org and seeing about all the different programs and some of the stuff we have on the website is definitely great. Connecting and linking up with us on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is fantastic. And yeah, as far as what they can do to help out, I know Sober Nation has a following kind of across the country. Reaching out to your local school and asking the dean of students, ask the president, ask someone in student life, or in the health center or counseling center. What do they offer for students in recovery, and keep pushing the envelope until we get to a point where we have something really substantial and significant on every single college campus.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great call to action to, for all of us to get proactive and find out, what people in our communities are doing to support students in recovery. One of the things that's a little bit more exciting, is the fact that there are recovery high schools.
Yeah.
I mean, can you guys imagine if when we were in high school, there was a place where, I don't know how many of us would have wanted to go to a recovery high school at that time, but I just wonder what it would have been like to know that there was an option, or, just that information getting out there. But now, people are getting support at the high school level. And so that I know from hearing people talk this week, the hope is that, they can then send those students over to you guys at the collegiate recovery level and really be with them throughout their whole education sobernation career,
Yeah,
right?
like the whole continuum. Yeah, I mean, that's what we saw here in Texas. They do it better than anyone else with, all the different collegiate programs here in, here in Houston where we are, but also down in Lubbock with Texas Tech, in Dallas and Austin, obviously. So, and then, here in Houston, they have a couple recovery high schools, same in Austin, be able to see, and also mean alternative peer groups and see that whole kind of continuum of care kind of happen. I mean, that's why we led off the conference with that panel that showed a student who kind of went through everything.
Yeah.
Because I think that's becoming, that's something we're seeing more and more, and you can see those students really take off and thrive because they're getting a high level of care for a pretty long time. It's really helping them succeed and prosper.
Yeah. And I think, everyone is really frustrated at how slow change is coming, with addiction treatment and, with all the things that we're seeing. We're all losing friends, we're all losing family members, and, everybody's frustrated. But what I think is cool and what's important that we all keep in mind is that there are some really cool things happening. It just, people don't talk about it, for whatever reason. But I think if we all maybe, know little things like this, if we know these things are happening, then we can start talking about these things, and we can let people know, especially, again, for the people that are interested in going back to school. There are resources, there are scholarships available. So, and, that's one of the things I hope to do with this segment on Sober Nation is to talk to different people who are doing cool things, in recovery. And, so if you have any ideas, if you want me to interview you, if you want to be interviewed or featured, send me a message here at Sober Nation, or, leave a comment, let me know. And, I'd love to sit down with you guys because, I think it's time we, start putting the spotlight on all of the amazing people we have. And, we're called Sober Nation for a reason. It's because we're the size of like an actual nation. There's a lot of us. And, we're all doing something amazing just by being clean and sober. But beyond that, there's a lot of us that have gone on, to take advantage of the fact that we're now healthier and, are doing really cool things like yourself. I mean, I admire you and respect you a lot. And your work ethic is insane. And, I'm really grateful for everything that you're doing for all the students that you're helping.
Learned a lot of it from you, so thank you, Veronica.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you enjoyed the content of this video, if you want to help get the message out, definitely share it. Like Tim said, go check out collegiaterecovery.org.
Yep.
collegiaterecovery.org. Find out about programs in your area, and I will see you guys around. Bye.
See you guys.